How do you come up with the music sound for? How do you come up with the music?
Some of it is fun. Some of it's kind of funny. We talked about that earlier, where Baker will basically just come up.
Baker will have an idea in his head, and
it's usually, honestly, before you say it, it's usually because he wants a certain drum beat to be played. It has nothing to do with the rest of the song. He wants to play.
He wants to play that beat.
He doesn't care what goes with it as long as he can play the beat.
Make something that goes on with this. I'm thinking.
And then I come in with
that. And so I just pick a key.
I don't.
And try and make something. And then and there's sometimes we'll just jam out before practice and pray to God I remember what I did because it sounded cool. And we'll keep that. Or there's times there's a couple songs, one song in particular, I wrote the whole thing just because I was practicing at home and it just came out of nowhere. So I might as well, if something like that happens, it must mean it might be a good song. So
the iPhone has saved our band as far as this new album.
Oh my gosh!
Because we had for a while, because of work situations and school situations, we would have 2 to 3 weeks where we couldn't practice. I mean, there was just not a day that we could make work because
you just forget everything you did. Like what did sound amazing one week, you come back to it 3 weeks later, and it doesn't have the same vibe, and it's nothing. It's worthless, and so you'd have to start all over.
So we started anytime they were jamming on something that we all liked.
It flowed,
we would video it. We would video it and send it to each other to remember and to practice. But some of the songs kind of came about organically. You'd have a little lick or a hook that was easy to sing over, and I'd have something in my mind, maybe something that I heard from church or a podcast or some life situation that just a phrase popped in my head.
I'll say that's probably the hardest thing about this album or writing in general, trying to balance heavy with melodic. That's really hard because you can make parts really nasty and heavy, but to come out of that and make musical sense out of it enough for him to find a melody and sing
without losing the energy.
Without losing the energy of the song is so hard because I know what notes to hit make it sound heavy, but you try and sing on top of it, it might not sound great, and you want the choruses and the rest of the song to be interesting and not just
4-chord.
Yeah, you don't want the same thing every time.
Not that they're a terrible band, but you don't want to sound like Nickelback or Breaking Benjamin when it's the chorus hits of every song.
So trying to look for something, be a little different with that. And then it's hard to be different when you're writing choruses because there's like a formula for writing a good chorus, and all of what you hear on the radio is that formula.
Yeah.
So you try and break out of that, you're kind of setting yourself up for failure, but you might. I mean, some of our choruses do go off of that
a little bit
because sometimes you can't avoid it. It just sounds good.
Well, that's at the end of the day, that's really all we want.
Yeah.
If it sounds good and it fits with the rest of the song.
Balancing heavy with melodic.
Yeah.
Creativity with, this just works.
Yeah.
So.
But at the end of the day, if it's super creative, but it doesn't flow, and I guess to put it nicely, it just is not a catchy song, then it doesn't matter how much stuff you put into it if nobody wants to listen to it. So
it's one of those weird line because it's art. So if it doesn't stir any emotion, it's not music. But that depends totally on who's listening to it, because you can have musicians listening to music and hate the song, and then you have people who know nothing about music and love it, and then vice versa. So it's not instead of the eyes of the beholder, it's the ears of the listener.
For me, I try to write parts that I don't hate.
Yeah.
It's if I can tolerate it and I like it, since I'm going to be the one singing it at practice, or you're going to be the one playing it at practice. If you can tolerate it, and we all can tolerate it, then usually we'll stick with it. But we do have like a grace period on some things where we'll play it a few times, and if before we say yes or
no.
Yeah,
because we're not just we've had some songs where they lasted months, and it was a slow decline, and then it just got to be, or just one or two of us were just like, this song I can't stand it. Someone else may love it, have cool parts for them, but as a song together, everything meshing well, it just doesn't. And we've had to trash them.
The first song that we thought was going to be on the new album, the first show you played with us, we
played a new song,
an entire
lyrics, everything, trashed it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of that had to do with me coming in the band, and I'd never written for a band either. So I was just writing parts that sounded cool to me and not thinking of the drums and the bass and the vocals. And over time, I had to pick that up. But
that's not necessarily a bad thing, because the problem that I think we've had, if we were honest, we'll try and mesh parts of songs that we've thrown out together to make one super song. It never works, man.
No.
I can't think of one song that we've kept that we've pieced together from old songs.
No.
Now those parts are great in and of themselves, but we just we couldn't make it work with anything else. I mean, who's to say we may go back to one later and have something different to play with it, but as far as just like, all right, I'm going to take this piece and this chorus and stick it together because they were pretty good.
Yeah. No.
You can tell that it was pieced together because it just sounds clunky.
Yeah. And it's done good that I've forgotten all those parts too. Because now I knew there was like a ton of parts, and I don't remember any of them anymore. That's awesome. Because now I don't have to worry about it.
When the style of music we play too
is mainly composed in parts.
Yeah. And that's the other hard thing about being a melodic metal band. If you were just a metal band,
then it'd work.
Yeah. But
because you slow it down, break down, nasty note, go on to the next thing.
The transition parts you were talking about earlier that I'm big on is key for two dissimilar parts to work together. There's usually a note or two, maybe three if you're lucky, that'll transition to the two parts together, but it has to flow just right, and you can't just throw it out there and say, okay, here it is, and we're going to stop playing, give a measure of silence, then come back into the chorus, and it's going to be great. No. Sometimes they need a bridge to fill that gap. You'll have a really great part and a really great part, and there's something that'll make them work together, and it could just be one note or one word or something, but you have to transition into parts that are really heavy and then into really melodic. And the best band I've ever heard do that is still Killswitch Engage.
All right.